Gun Interactive has put out the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which has seen over 1 million players currently playing the game. In today's video, we're going to give you guys some more advanced and professional tips to help you on both sides of playing the family and playing as the victims, as well as some generic tips to help both sides. If you do enjoy, leave a like down below and subscribe for some more awesome content. And don't forget, we stream on Twitch every single weekday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're playing anybody Leatherface, make sure you're trying to prioritize getting blood to Grandpa ASAP. The quicker that you can wake Grandpa up, the better it is for you, and continue to prioritize to level Grandpa up. It takes 100 blood for every single level, so keep that in mind, and there's certain perks that will actually help you out to get more blood, and when you feed Grandpa, he'll be happier. The quicker you can do this, the better it is, because at maximum level, Grandpa will be able to detect every single survivor, or victim I should say, without anything required. No matter if they're standing still, you will see them. Now, once you get Grandpa to level 1, this gives you access to the basement itself, and if the victims aren't waking Grandpa up by that time, it means that everybody is guaranteed to be in the basement, and you can go and help Leatherface catch up on some of those easy kills. When spawning in and you are not in the basement, again, if you're not Leatherface, make sure you're trapping all of the exits that need to be trapped. This goes for the car generators that spawn that can give victims easy escapes if not powered up, so make sure you're turning these on as you spawn really close to them. The generator seems to automatically turn on now, but keep it in mind, and throughout the trial, make sure that you're paying attention to it as well. If you're playing as the hitchhiker, you can also double trap these things to make sure that the victims are not going to get an easy escape, or at least get caught in the trap, or they will have to take some extra time to disarm it, finding the bone shift itself in order to do it, so that way you're able to ensure that they don't escape immediately. When you are playing as Bubba, you can pretty much sprint for an infinite amount of time if you're able to prime your chainsaw and continue to rev it without it overheating, essentially. Kinda similar to the Hillbilly in Dead by Daylight. I know we're making a comparison, but if you're able to keep the revving going without making it hit the maximum, Bubba will sprint really quick. During this time, you'll also be able to do increased damage to the victims themselves, so if you already have a few hits on them, this will instantly kill them. Keep in mind though, if you do end up hitting them when they're fully healed up, you're going to hit them, and this is going to stall your chainsaw, where you then go into a bit of a tantrum mode and you hit your head a bunch, and then you have to turn your chainsaw on yet again. So make sure that if you are going to hit a survivor, that they're already injured enough so you can get that instant kill, or else it's just more worth it to let the revving go all the way down and then hitting them normally, to then rev it up again and then instantly kill them. Teamwork is essential when you're playing as a family, and you need to know what character you're playing and what they're good at. I know this sounds pretty obvious, but a lot of people forget to do some of the most basic things that can really extend and help your gameplay. For example, if you're playing as Bubba, as soon as you spawn in, make sure you're turning your chainsaw on. This is a bit of a more of a rookie mistake, but you'd be surprised how much people actually do this. So that way, when you're in a chase and you find somebody, you don't need to turn your chainsaw on and then chase them. You can just immediately go for those hits. If you're playing as someone like Cook, make sure you're prioritizing moving those lockpicks to places that have already been picked and broken, or places that really need them. This will require so much more time on the victim side to then find something else to lockpick yet again, and it can even give you an idea of where some of the victims are going to be, because if something is opened or lockpicked, you know that chances are they're prioritizing that area. Speaking of, keep in mind the timeline of the game. Before Grandpa's awoken, you know that everybody is in the basement. Use this time to set up as much as you need to do when you're playing as certain characters. If you're playing as Sissy, go ahead and poison some of the traps, poison some of the items. This is a great way of doing this, so when the victims actually come there, you'll be able to get some increased damage. If you're playing as the hitchhiker, make sure you're placing specific traps in locations that you know are going to be hotspots, or loops, or places that are going to be really hard to continue to chase those victims. If you're playing as Bubba, break all access points, break all of the things that victims can kind of go over. That's going to help you out tremendously when it comes down to the end game. If you're playing as Cook, make sure you're moving those padlocks to locations that need them. And once Grandpa's awoken, you know that chances are the victims are going to either A, be out of the basement because they opened the gate and triggered this, or B, you've triggered this yourself. You can then decide if you want to go into the basement and help Leatherface out, or the more tactical and smart approach to this is to make sure that certain area of the maps aren't being accessed. Make sure the fuse is still there, make sure the valve is still there. Keep an eye on all of these things so you know what progress the survivors have, or victims I should say, and that way you can keep a tab on them to make sure they're not getting too far ahead and you're looking in the wrong locations. You don't want someone about to turn off the car battery when you're still in the basement, so this is a good thing to keep in mind. Now, if all else fails and the victims are able to manage to get something open or they're ready to escape, this is when you're all going to have to go to that exit while someone else decides to rearm it or wait for the time for it to be rearmed. Things such as the pressure valve gate will automatically close after 60 seconds. The same goes with the basement, which will automatically close. Or there's certain other things such as the generator exits where you will need to turn it back on, or the car battery exit where you will also need to turn it back on. But if people are protecting this, it might be a little bit easier for you to maintain. So keeping that entire timeline down in your head and keeping track of all the different progress that the victims have made will allow you to be in an optimal position so that the victims won't just have it super duper easy. You can use body blocking to your advantage. If you're playing as someone as Bubba or Johnny, you can easily block certain paths or certain ways for other victim members, or for you to even rev up your chainsaw and then get some easy hits. This works especially well if someone's trying to go up or down the basement, and especially good if they're trying to go for an exit and you can just kind of wait it out. I do think this one is a little bit strong and they will eventually patch this in due time, but it's something that you can do if it's your last bare bones strategy and you need to make sure that you're getting that kill. For both sides, you need to know what the easiest exits are going to be. For example, if you're playing on the family house, one of the easiest exits that you can use is the fuse box. You just go down the stairs, hook right, and you're there. If you're playing on the gas station, turning off the car battery is super duper easy, or even going on the other side where you just have to open 2 locks to get out. So when playing as a family, make sure you're prioritizing looking at those exits specifically, as people are going to flock to those a lot more easier than something such as the power valve. And when you're playing as the victim side, make sure that you're prioritizing going for these, as it'll give you the most bang for your buck, getting a lot of XP for escaping, and you'll be able to get a pretty easy escape if you manage to do it successfully. Doors are strong, especially if you can slam them on both sides. If you can slam this on the family or the victim side, this will cause a stun, which can lead to you getting an easy kill or an easy escape, so make sure you're prioritizing using these in tactical situations. When using your attribute points to level up, you need to be really tactical about this. Make sure that you're using the points on certain things that will actually make the difference. For example, if you're playing as Bubba and you decide to use all your points in collecting blood, it doesn't really benefit you as much as if you were to max out your endurance and the ability to do more damage. On the flip side, if you're playing as someone like Johnny, it might make more sense to level up your attacking to the max, so that way you can kill victims in about 3 hits or less. The main point about this is that sometimes it's not worth it to use all of your attribute points in skills that are way too low and it won't make that much of a difference, versus using them in certain situations where you might just need to use 10 points or so to max out a skill and get a major boost, and you can even dump the rest of the points in other skills. Essentially saying, try to max min this to the best of your ability so you get the most efficient build out of your attribute points. When you're being chased, especially against someone like Sissy or the Hitchhiker, it can be really difficult to actually lose them. This is where wells are going to be one of the best things that you can use to improve your gameplay. Keep in mind that the family members can have perks that will help them to see your aura for a certain amount of time if you drop down these wells, or you can even take some more damage when dropping down these wells, so make sure that you're going to an area once you do so to get some health. The reason why wells are your best friends is because nobody can actively go down a well. So you can use this to your advantage, and while those seconds are counting where they might be able to see your auras or you're slowly losing your health, you can use that time, find some health, get into a safer location, and this will stop the chase as they'll have to go all the way around to get to you. You can also use this idea with ladders if you're being chased by a Leatherface and nobody else, because Leatherface can't go down or up ladders, so use that to your benefit. Speaking about going down wells, if your health is too low, you'll have one guaranteed recovery per match. Going down wells will be your best option for these because they have to go all the way around to get to you, and by that time you'll be able to recover, but you can tactically use this recovery ability in certain situations, such as maybe jumping through windows if need be, and you know they'll have to take a very long time to get to you. Even if your health is too low and no one's around and you don't really know where to get any health, using this recovery might be more tactical than just waiting for yourself to slowly bleed out. And even in the cases where you are about to bleed out, you know that you have that one recovery per match, so rather than getting into a hot spot where people might be able to find you, go die in a corner so you can recover and then get yourself some easy meds when you're back up. Point being made, use the recovery point tactically. You don't want it to go to waste, and this can change your game. The loud sounds that you make when you're looking for certain items or you're escaping, they have range. If you're looking for a certain tool or something like that, and you know that most of the family members are far away somewhere else, this has a noise range, so they won't be able to detect you, and you can quickly just grab some tools. Speaking about grabbing some tools, especially when getting lockpicks and you're playing especially as Connie, make sure you're grabbing 2 of those. A lot of people forget that you can use this twice rather than having to find another section in order to get it, and getting 2 lockpicks immediately is super duper beneficial. If you're playing as Connie especially, this can help you open the basement door and then proceed to go open a gate or open the front door in the family house, or even making all the way up to the fuse box to opening it. Lockpicks are one of the most key items in the game that are going to help you, so make sure that you're getting as much as you can when you have the ability to do so. If you want to take one for the team and you're playing as someone such as Leland that's able to stun him, or you have a lot of bone shivs or whatever the case may be, the next time that Grandpa uses his detection ability, go in the basement and get detected. While all the killers will more than likely flock to you because you're the only one visible, the other victims can then go and get key parts of the map open. Now, if you're really tactical about this, what you should do is try to get the basement exit open, so that way whoever's looping down there and running around and running for their lives will be able to run straight out of the basement. Now again, this will require a lot of communication, and you got to be smart when doing this one because you can get caught while being chased, especially if you're going against a hitchhiker or sissy, but if done correctly, you can get some really easy escapes. Stopping Grandpa could definitely help your gameplay a lot more than you think. Getting that detection that is always hindering you, especially at some of the higher levels, it's really good to disable Grandpa. Now keep in mind the family will know when you're near Grandpa and it will say Grandpa's in danger. Now if they are prioritizing that, you could be in some deep water. However, if you're quick enough about it and you're able to disable Grandpa, this will buy you and your team some very good valuable time where they won't be able to detect you, and you can get a lot of progress done. And finally, the last tip at Victim is that if need be, you can loop things indefinitely, especially if you're not going against characters such as Sissy or the Hitchhiker. If you go through crawl spaces or go through cracks in the walls, a character like Bubba doesn't have much to do. Crawl spaces, you can decide to destroy them, but it takes a while for some Bubbas to realize that they can't do this, and even when they are destroying it, you can then run to a crack in the wall, and if you are in a crack in the wall, you can just continue waiting until they come all the way around to then go through the other way. If you're being chased by someone such as Sissy or the Hitchhiker, continuously use these cracks as much as you can, and then make your way up, jump through a well, repeat the process. This will help you so much more than aimlessly running around and then getting caught or even triple teamed by the family itself. I know this one's a little bit more common sense, but you can use this to your advantage by just waiting and waiting and waiting. If you're able and you have enough map knowledge as well, you can even string these together, such as Dead by Daylight, and continue to loop these over and over, and there's not much that the family can do unless they have some good coordinated teamwork. At that point, it ties back into one of our previous tips where you're taking all the attention from the family members, where at least 2 people will need to be there in order to stop you, and during that time, the other victims can get some valuable things open for you. Now that's pretty much all the professional tips that I have for you guys after about 40 hours in the game itself. Now, I want to make this really clear that the tips that I'm giving to you guys are not necessarily to make you into a sweaty monster and you're going to win and destroy in every single one of your games, but it's more so for you to understand the mechanics even a little bit more than our beginner guide to then have some more fun. The developers themselves have said that this game is meant to be fun. That's why there's no MMR, etc. And they just want everybody to have a good time. The reason I'm giving you guys these more professional tips is because it can get rather frustrating when you kind of got the basics down, but you're still not good enough to fully grasp some of the other concepts, and that can be really infuriating and make you even put the game down and not want to play it because you just can't get a good grasp on some of the things that you need to do. At the end of the day, this is all for fun and just joking around and having a good time with your friends. It doesn't need to be balanced. It doesn't need to be ran and speed run, etc. And obviously there will be people that play that way, which is completely fine. That competitive nature in people will never go away, and that's completely fine as well. The point being made here is that these tips are just more so for you to improve your gameplay a little bit, understand the game some more, and to have some more fun with it, rather than just being an ultimate sweat and destroying everybody that you run into. I'm sure people will still use it that way, which is completely fine, but I just wanted to at least put that out there so you know. I see a lot of conversations and a lot of people already asking me what I think about TCM. Is it the Dead by Daylight killer? Is this balanced fairly, etc.? And in due time, we will talk about those things, but it's been less than a week, and I just want to enjoy this new, fresh game that's in the asymmetrical scene, because it's been a while since we had a rather successful asymmetrical game in the scene itself to, at least for now, compete with Dead by Daylight. So I just want to sit back, enjoy it with my friends, and have a good time, and along the way, share some of the key things that I've picked up on with you guys. With that being said, though, that is pretty much going to do it for me. I want to say a big thank you again to TCM for putting out such a fantastic game so far. I've been really enjoying it, and they have been ever so kind to me, giving me a free code to the game. They even sent me some popcorn earlier in the year with some other cool things in their care package. And I want to say a big thank you to you guys for showing all your love and support on our previous TCM video, which encouraged me to make this one for you guys today. And this will probably be our last tutorial unless highly demanded for another one for quite a while. Our regularly scheduled Dead by Daylight content will be returning. Nonetheless, I've been your host, The King. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure you leave a like down below and subscribe for some more awesome content from the channel. And don't forget that we are live every single weekday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. We will be off for the next week as I'm going on a little mini vacation and I'll be heading out of the country, but streams will be returning next Tuesday on the Alien Chapter release day. As always, I'm The King. I tip my crown to you guys, and I'll see you in Texas.